Our first recipe is going to be a peanut butter and jelly inspired marshmallow. It's going to be 2 layers. One is going to be a beautiful and tangy raspberry marshmallow, and then we're going to top it off with a beautiful peanut butter marshmallow. So for this recipe, we're going to need the following ingredients: glucose syrup, granulated sugar, dextrose, raspberry puree, bloom gelatin, trehalose, and citric acid. So we're going to start with our layer of raspberry marshmallow. There are different recipes. Some recipes just add a little bit of color and extract. This one actually is going to have raspberry puree. So let's start. In the pot, as I said earlier on, I had the glucose syrup. Every time at the school that we do anything that has sticky sugars like glucose syrup or inverted sugar, we always scale it directly in the pot, just so we actually save time in the production. After, I'm going to be adding the raspberry puree and the granulated sugar to the pot. And we're going to be cooking this to 110. Anytime that you're cooking any type of syrup that has granulated sugar inside, you have to be very careful, because granulated sugar is a very crystallizing sugar. And if we leave a tiny bit of any sugar granules around the edge, they can actually jump back and crystallize our entire syrup. So I'm just mixing carefully, and now I'm actually going to be using a brush to clean the sides. And all I did off camera was hydrating or blooming my gelatin powder, which you always hydrate it in 6 times its weight in water. So the bloom gelatin is ready. I'm just going to add it to the bowl. It's just 10 seconds in the microwave. That's all you need. And for this, it's actually 110 already. I turn the heat off. I add dextrose and trehalose to the pot. And we're going to pour it over the melt of gelatin. If there's 1 or 2 lumps, don't really worry about it, because we're going to whip it. Here it goes on top of the gelatin. So now I'm going to, once I start whipping my mix, I'm going to add the citric acid powder. So the marshmallow is ready when it looks light and fluffy, and the temperature is around 40 degrees Celsius. If you let it cool down too much more than that, it's going to be very hard for you to spread it onto your frame. This is a plexiglass frame. You have the measurements on your recipe book. And this one, we actually oil it lightly. And this is just to prevent the marshmallow from sticking too much to the frame and to the sill pad. The sill pad is also lightly oiled. And another thing that you could do for the bottom is to dust it with dextrose if you want. This is like dragging an ash, so it's better to have just a tiny bit more than what you need. So I'll kind of start going up. Just try to get it there. So we just drag. Don't think that this is actually a pretty good size for this frame. You always have to have just a tiny bit more. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a disaster to drag this product. If you don't have enough, then you start pushing one side, the other, and then you start having, the problem is that the marshmallow will start cooling down on you. So I'm gonna keep this one in the cold room while we work on the peanut butter, and you don't really need to wait too long for this to set. I'll give something around 30 minutes or so, so it actually forms a little bit, starts gelling, so when we drag the other one, we don't make a mess. So let's start working on our next recipe. Welcome to Melissa Coppel Chocolate and Pastry School. Once you spray, you're done.